digital transformation and emerging technologies, especially AI, of course. From your respective vantages, how is this shift redefining enterprise strategy and competitive advantage? Prashant, can you start?
I think what's helping is AI, definitely. AI is becoming a boardroom topic. It's helping everybody. Technology was used to cut costs. Technology was used for efficiency. You never had technology used for revenue gain. And I think that's the shift we are seeing in both sides. It's in enterprise strategy and definitely in competitive advantage. It's also sharpening the saw a bit. So what is core and differentiated versus commodity also is changing.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. You know, I was having dinner with a CIO just a few weeks back. And he was telling me that the board has never been interested in technology before this. And now every board member that he has wants to tell him which AI to use for what. And he says, it's just amazing that the amount of attention that this is getting. And he says it's ridiculous because he was nice. He says, you know, they know very little about what I do, but they're very interested in making sure that what happens, right? But having said that, right, I mean, if you really look at what's happening in the enterprise, and we break it down into two parts. One is the hiring. It's taking a cautionary approach on who the people are trying to bring on board. So what used to be a regular way of getting people on board, off board, and so on, so that's fundamentally changing. Two is that AI in product and AI in process. They are two important parameters, and I'll keep referring to it as we go through. We'll talk more about it, but that's what is driving their whole thought process. So we'll have to see. It's an evolving stream, in my opinion. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I want to follow up on that with you, Alind. And LTTS often mentions engineering intelligence. So it's not merely intelligent systems, but intelligence embedded into engineering.
Right.
You talk about. It's embedded into decision-making and lifecycle management and all along the chain.
Right.
Do you mind elaborating a little bit on your perspective on that?
Right. See, look, what we do for our customers is we are very close to how the customers make money. And if we look at the role that we play, we are very close to the physical AI. So everything that happens has to translate into a product for it to go out and for their customers to buy, right? So we play a very central role in making sure that the products that they go out are able to generate that kind of money in general, right? So for us, what that means is, and for our clients as well, they have got a legacy of information about their products, how the products have performed over a period of time, and how the processes that have led to the development of those products have done over a period of time. So there's a lot of data which is there. Capturing that into engineering intelligence is the key, because that's their secret sauce. And if we can make that happen for them, then that's their strategic advantage over their competition. So that's what we do, and that's why we call it engineering intelligence.
Great. So, Prashant, from an advisory and analyst perspective, how do you see engineering intelligence today and looking out as it progresses?
Let me just build on what Alind just said. I like the AI in product and AI in process. It's a very good way of thinking about this.
Sure.
I think it'll help today's conversation.
I'm going to charge you for that, you know that.
Sure. I think it helps today's conversation. Going into tomorrow's conversation, I think we'll need to be a little more nuanced. So I think we're talking about data a lot. We're not talking too much about decisions. And if you look at AI and see the use cases of what AI is used for, it's used only for two things. It's used for predict, or it's used to judge. And both predict and judge are decision-based contexts and not data-based contexts. And that's why you have this Valley word coming out with decision context. So I think what's going to happen is this is going to splice very quickly. So I think we should say data and AI and product and AI process is good. I think within that, decision context and data context is going to be tomorrow's discussion.
And how would you say that sort of equates to value creation?
Let's take an example.
Yeah.
Let's say it's not about the product or the process, but it's about selling the product. And it's a CRM system, and you just offered a 40% discount.
Okay.
Why did you offer that 40% discount? It's because you want to keep that account? Where did that call happen? Did it happen in a Teams call? Was it a sales pipeline call? Who traps that decision as an institutional-based algorithm? That's not in the CRM system. That's the current problem we have. We need to solve for that, and to solve for that, you need to go beyond product and process and today's systems. You need a decision context layer.
So just building off of that,
Yeah.
Alind, how do you see enterprises today capturing that to drive that strategic value?
No, I think what Prashant said made a lot of sense. I mean, ultimately, you want to use that data for decision making. And unless you use that effectively, it's not really going to yield the results that anybody talks about. See, it's a mixed bag, the way that we look at it. And it's, again, early stages. And the answer to that is probably you have to look at it by function. Because there's so many functions in the organizations, you know, HR and sales and then supply chain and then manufacturing and others, right? The maturity varies by function. And what we are seeing, the early wins are perhaps a little bit more in supply chain, a little bit more in customer interfacing functions, like CRM is a very good example of where you really are touching your outcomes as part of that, right? As you go down towards more manufacturing, quality, and engineering, the adoption is still slower. And that's just because that there isn't enough focus to make that happen. There are short-term benefits which have to be got by doing those. So I would say that it's building up, but it will take a fair amount of time for us to be evenly distributed across all these functions. Yeah.
Great. From your perspective, Prashant, how does benchmarking and advisory help in terms of, I guess, engineering intelligence frameworks?
Let me answer that based on
what
Alind's
Alind,
said,
perfect.
right? So Alind made an excellent point. He said it's much easier to get investments in the CRM sales, after sales functions. It's very difficult to start getting investments in the manufacturing shop floor situations. And there are several reasons for this. One of them is there's no amortization period on a CRM system.
Sure.
But there are 12 years of amortization periods on robots. You can't replace them so quickly.
Yep.
So a good idea gets defeated by a bad business case. Now, this is where a benchmark can help. It's not who did what, but why did they do it. Now, let's say that a manufacturing shop floor investment was made because by doing that, you could get BOM continuity, and BOM continuity helps you to sell more of your genuine spare parts. Now, that's a benchmark. That's a benchmark which just brought an investment into manufacturing on the shop floor,
Right.
but it just started from sales and after sales. You would have never connected this without me.
Right.
Now, how do you do this in a buy versus build situation is the next step where we help.
Wonderful.
No, I can't add to that. I think that's perfect. Yep, very true.
So if today intelligence is being embedded into engineering, how does that reshape how organizations scale? That's sort of where I'd like to go next, if that's okay. So what we're seeing is a decisive shift from sort of project-based execution to platform-centric engineering, right? So what does platformization truly require from an organizational and a cultural perspective. And let me start with you, Prashant, on that, and then we'll move to Alind.
Yep.
Before I jump into the
Yeah,
organization cultural part, let's start with the problems that we are trying to solve. What happens is processes are currently coded in systems. And a CRM process is coded in a CRM system, a PLM process in a PLM system, an ERP process, and so on. So what you have created is you have created data stovepipes. The real intelligence is not in the process itself, but in the interdependence across all of that.
Sure.
So what can get masked as someone not wanting to do something is actually someone unable to do something, right? So there's that thing. So I just want to be a little aware before we make this a people issue.
Great.
And if I can add to that, now it's all about what are the rewards and incentives part. So there is the org design part, and then there's the reward and incentive part. The Germans use two words. They use Ablauf and Aufbau. Aufbau means how do you structure something, and Ablauf means how does work flow through it. So if you look at structure and workflow, through all that I just described and translate that to rewards and incentives, you have the answer to those two questions you raised.
Perfect. And I got a lesson in German, which is wonderful as well. Alind, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, and that's part of your Europe stay, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
See, look, the way that we have seen this happen is when you look at, and you know, he rightly said these are all these different things, and then ERP sort of binds them together. So if you look at how AI is, or these projects are happening, a lot of them are happening in silos in each of these areas. And there are teams who are working on them. There are tools that they're using which are going towards doing these projects, right? But the problem with doing that is that you are not able to bring them together and scale them. And in fact, I was talking to somebody just now, and he was telling me that last year they did 200 projects, and only 5% of them scaled, word for word, right? And I mean, I would think it's still a success that 5 scaled, right? So it's still good, right?
It's not
so
bad.
if 10 of those 200 scale, you know, that's good return. But putting those platforms in place under which you can bring a lot of synergies together, honestly, the effectivity of a good AI system will be by looking at data that resides across functions, and then being able to bring that together to create something more valuable. So that's the approach to go. But I think every organization has to decide at what time, because you don't want to kill creativity to achieve an end. So it's a debate.
So let me just follow up on that. I guess, how does engineering firms such as LTTS help to clients and enterprises move from that point solution that we were talking about to a more platform approach?
Right. See, what the biggest problem that we have seen is, and engineers are creative by default, right? Yeah, I mean, that's what they're paid for, right? But what happens is they're also very focused on solving a problem. And the big gap that is there is, how do you take those different elements of unstructured data to move them into a structured platform? The good thing is you don't have to put a lot of effort to do that, because there are tools which are available, and AI itself offers that to be able to do that. But still, it requires a knowledge of both the systems and the data to be able to put it in a way that it's usable. Where we come in, and you know, it's public, we filed close to about 220 patents in AI. But a lot of them is not on creating algorithms. It's on the ability of take the data which is available today and bring it and collaborate in a collaborative form, which is then used in those platforms to be able to make those decisions. So that's a good place for us to keep helping the organizations get better at what they are doing.
Great, and just to follow up on that too, let me toss it over to Prashant.
Yes.
How should engineering performance in this new era of sort of platform forward approach be measured? Because obviously you have to think about it slightly differently. So how do you guys think about how that should be measured?
You got to think of it in terms of dollars at the end of the day. And it's either top line dollars or bottom line dollars. And you'll realize that the more standardized something is, or the more standardized something can be, there's efficiency and there's a bottom line business case to something.
Sure.
So, and the more non-standard you are, the more it is to your core, it's more what's differentiating to you. There's more of a revenue business case to this, and that's a top line dollar. So before jumping into this question, I think we need to start with what is core, what is differentiation, and then there will be an it depends area, and that's where context matters. So this clarity in what falls in three buckets will help answer the question you raised.
Great. And Alind, do you have a perspective on this as well?
See, and like Prashant said, right? I mean, ultimately, the outcomes are all measured in dollars. I mean, you know, and we talked about the boardrooms, right?
Sure.
And what do the boardrooms say? You've got 2,000 people over there. Why do you really need all of them, right? So why can't you do it with 70% less? And it comes down to saving money, right? But to be real, there are three fundamental things that we always talk about with our customers, and we measure ourselves on the same things, right? So one is performance. So what is it that we are doing yesterday versus what is it that we are doing today? How much of that are we able to optimize as part of that, right? So that's one. Two is quality. How accurate are you in using AI to deliver the results that you want versus what you were doing earlier? Is there an increase in quality as part of that, right? And now, if you look at it, both these parameters directly reflect upon how much are you going to save, right? The third parameter is a very interesting one. It is how much is it costing you to do the first two? If you don't keep a tab on that, that tab can really, increase exponentially. And it will during the early days because you're going to spend a lot more in optimizing the system, moving the data and others, right? So it's not a straight line that anybody is going to look at. They're going to look at how do you get from here to what, at what points in these three parameters, because that's the equation that we need and the organization need to solve together.
And are you seeing that with the platform approach that the client-partner relationship is changing at all, or is it the way it's always been? Yeah, please.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
It's getting even more interesting. Everything which can be standardized can be coded, can be created in an algorithm, can be put in a platform, can go SaaS, and that's given rise to all the platform and SaaS companies. But how much of that is actually adopted in the company is left to a lot of other players. So we see a lot of platform companies getting into services. And we see a lot of service companies getting into assets. So I think I can see they eat each other's pie at the moment. It's a very interesting place to be in. But I think the way to solve for this conundrum, I think platforms will always optimize for the product because they can only work within their box. So by design, they can only optimize for the product. I don't know whether they'll optimize for the enterprise. They will try, but the only way to get value is across two platforms. And that's where a company like ATTS will never lose its position in the market.
No, I couldn't have said it better. If I may ask you a question, is it okay if I ask?
Please.
Yeah, okay. So are enterprises thinking about their own platforms? Or are they more thinking about using the ones which are more commercially available? So do you see a thought process?
I think it's both. And I think if you go back to the score versus context versus commodity.
Right.
The more commodity it is, the more it is out of the box.
Right.
And then, of course, they'll make it as standard as possible. That
Right.
gave rise to the ERP, PLM,
Right.
SaaS of the world.
Right.
Now, the only way to make money on insights is to do it once and sell multiple times.
Right.
The only way to do that is
Right.
to get it out of in a linear model into a
Right.
non-linear model,
Right.
which means I do it once and sell it 1,000 times.
Right.
The only
Right.
way to do that is to go platform-based. So, you know the companies like
yeah.
JCI. Let's just take JCI as an example. They've been
Right.
on OpenBlue for years and years and
Right.
years.
Right.
I think everybody's now going to start going in that direction.
No, it's a very collaborative world, and it has to be. The cost of platformization is not easy. It's not for the chicken feed, right?
Yeah.
So, and Prashant rightly said, the way where we see our space in there is primarily where we look at customizing those to a particular domain. So it could be any of the domains that are there, but we are more interested on the manufacturing and telecom related areas. So that's where our focus is. But that's our play. That's how we are looking at this long term. Yeah.
Please.
So, you know, there's one interesting angle, and I'm glad you brought this topic up. I just want to build on what
You please.
said. So here's the challenge which I think both the companies can solve. Did you know, for example, a multi-agent system right now creates 15x the amount of tokens that a single chat does?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't know this unless you got your next monthly invoice, right? So it's a hyperscaler ka-ching, and I think I just wrote a LinkedIn post this morning on that topic. And now you can lean on us for the financials part of this, because if you want to go down this platform route as a company and you didn't know this, imagine what this is to your profit model.
All right.
15x surprise.
15x surprise, right? There goes your EBITDA.
Yeah.
So is it a build now and they'll come model, or is it going to be, let's see how it goes? Do we build the Taj Mahal first and then hope people come in? That's where we come in. But how, do you do this on your own? Do you do this? How have others done this?
Okay.
How do you use patterns from others who have actually done this? And I think that's where they need to use firms like LTTS to get that part in, right? The doing part. Don't try to do this on your own.
Yeah.
That's great. So we had touched just briefly on sort of organizational and cultural stuff earlier, and I want to kind of bring us back to that, if that's okay. And Alind, I want to ask you, how are global engineering organizations rethinking your talent strategies in the era of AI and just overall globalization?
Yeah. See, it's a very evolving space, and I don't think. I know that there isn't a strategy that is becoming mainstream which would be followed across, right? I mean, every day you wake up, you read something in the papers, right? Or something happens and that, not only affects us, but, sends the stock market crashing and so on and so forth, right? So it's a very evolving space. Right now, the organizations are still interested in making sure that the products that they have promised to their customers roll out the door. So that's something which is non-negotiable for them, right? Now, when they start looking at 5 years, 7 years, there are two fundamental things which is on everybody's mind. One is, where do they want to grow? In terms of the geographical locations, their markets, because the markets are changing as well. I mean, how much consumption is in which market determines a lot of dependence on where do they want to grow. So that's a geographical aspect. The second aspect also is, who do they want to hire? Are they wanting to hire somebody who has got a coding knowledge, for example, or somebody who can do basic engineering, Or do they want to bring in more system engineers into the mix, or people who are able to look at the bigger picture and be more effective in using the tools which are now coming in the market as well, right? So that strategy is changing tremendously. And that's what I had mentioned earlier, that because of that, we have seen a pause in the amount of hiring that was happening at the ground level. And this is something actually for the educational system to reflect on as well, on what are we producing as the young engineers and what skills will they have that will be relevant to this market as we go along. So it's an evolving space. Prashant,
Yeah, Prashant, I'd love to hear your
Yeah,
perspective on this.
I think we might have an unfair advantage because we are in the room when buy versus build is being discussed.
Sure.
We are seeing three patterns. The first pattern we're seeing is there is no AI without data, which is fine,
Sure.
but there's also no AI without knowledge. And knowledge right now is going to walk out of the door when people retire in the next 7 years. Everybody is solving for that right now. Which means you'll have to start hiring into it, which brings into the second part. What's your internal talent pipeline strategy based on what I just said?
Mm-hmm.
So these two factors are affecting how do you bring new people in, will they join you? And it's not about AI, it's about domain. How do I train on domain?
Mm-hmm.
So that's right now the top two topics. If these two are solved, we are seeing a third pattern. The third pattern is we think AI will be cheap, intelligence will be everywhere, so it's not going to differentiate you.
Mm-hmm.
What will differentiate you is trust and empathy. So is your product empathic, and can we trust the results? So these two topics are going to get more and more important in the internal hiring. So we're seeing these three patterns across.
Interesting. So the real human elements of trust and empathy are going to come to the fore as the digital part and the AI part also comes forward.
Yeah, think of it as AI being explainable.
Mm-hmm.
If your AI is not explainable, can you trust it?
Interesting. Well, so far today we've touched on three major subjects. Right? We talked about engineering intelligence, talked about platformization, and now the people aspect of this thing. Before we end, I want you to, if you wouldn't mind, reflect upon sort of where engineering intelligence is going in the future. So in 5 years or so, what do you see as where engineering intelligence will be and the role of that? And Alind, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, see, in this industry, 5 years is a very long time, so we can only speculate. But there are, again, two fundamental things that I look at that would be there. One is that the scale of development, the speed of development of the products coming into the market is going to tremendously increase. So that's one key enabler that's going to be there. The second area that we don't see AI playing a major part today, but we do see it getting evolved over the next 5 years is in the regulated industries. So if you look at medical industry, for example, if you look at aerospace, for example, there isn't any solution which is signed off and delivered by AI and accepted by the regulating authorities. That's another area that would fundamentally change on how these industries will evolve as well. So I think these two things, speed will definitely increase, and I'm not talking about adoption. Adoption will happen by itself, so that is not worried. But the speed of product development and moving into those core areas of regulated industries will see tremendous change as we go through.
Great, thank you. So just in conclusion, if you were to give advice to all the engineering leaders that are here tonight, starting tomorrow, in one sentence, what would be your advice that they should start doing tomorrow?
Start investing in an AI platform stack for your firm.
Okay.
I'll give the same advice that I give to my son, who is an engineer, by the way, is that we have to keep an eye on the big picture. So the engineers today have to keep an eye on the big picture on what is it that they want to achieve, and then work backwards on the tools that they want to use to be able to get there. Because if you don't have an eye on the big picture, you're only focused on the intermediary steps, then I don't think we are going to be able to use the tools which are going to be available today and in 5 years from now very effectively.
Great.
So,
thank you both. Before I let you go, what I'd like to do is just do a quick rapid fire round. Okay?
Sure.
So I have some questions here, and Prashant, if it's okay, I'll start with you.
Sure.
Just quick answers. First thought that comes to mind. Biggest engineering trend headed into 2026?
The screen's going to disappear.
One word that defines successful digital transformation?
Trust.
Trust. Most underestimated capability in engineering leadership?
Empathy.
One boardroom conversation engineering leaders must initiate?
Unbundling.
Unbundling. Great. And three-word advice to the next generation of engineers?
3 words.
3 words.
I'll give you 4.
I got it.
How about a full sentence?
Whatever you're not good at, AI is going to help you do that, please.
That's fair. Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Alind, your turn. Ready? Short and sharp. Most underrated element of engineering intelligence?
Creativity.
One engineering challenge every CEO must understand?
The cost of implementation.
Engineering and sustainability, is that an opportunity or an obligation?
Both.
Nice. The future of global engineering delivery in one phrase?
It's going to be inconsistent for a while before it starts delivering the results that everybody is expecting. Sorry, a longer sentence.
That's good.
That's
Thank
what
you.
it is, yeah.
3-word mission statement for modern engineering teams?
I go back to what I said earlier. It's big picture. It's understanding of the tools that are there and the willingness to change and adopt to what's happening around you.
Great. Thank you both very much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you so much for
Thanks.
having us.